Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Hot Pot. We're at cycle 90. Still only on 4 dupes, like we saw the last one come in the last game. I think I'm about ready for a 5th one, by the way, but let's do a basic check on our resources. Oxygen's looking pretty good, at least in terms of saturation, but carbon dioxide is really starting to fight back after I've got all this machinery up and running, which I'm going to talk about here in just a little bit. But yeah, oxygen's good. Food's looking pretty good and also staying relatively cool. It's actually fallen just a tad since the last video. So that's at least a little bit encouraging, but yeah, stuff's getting pretty crazy. I'm going to talk about some smaller things before I talk about some bigger things. One of the things that just happened is this. I got a directlet from my printing pot, so that means I will have a potential for getting reed fibers now. So I just need to keep this thing alive and ranch it, so there's going to be an area coming up for that. I did get ranching up for hatches, so I just have this room here that's 91 tiles just to make use of some of the awkward space. Another room that's 91 tiles, it's going to be for growing my arbor trees and also ranching pips, so that's going to go right here. And then this is going to be a Dreco area. I'm not actually sure how many tiles this is, but I'm trying to get it as close to 96 as possible. So yeah, we'll have to just keep our eye on that and start ranching this Drecklet as soon as we get the opportunity to, because that'll allow us to actually start leaving our base. Which is great, because that means that we can start venting stuff that we don't want into outer space as opposed to, you know, having it stuck all down here. But yeah, so I'm also going to talk a little bit about compacting the areas. You might notice that this is a lot more tightly spaced. My Great Hall is this tiny little thing. My rooms are these tiny little things, which will probably put me out of contention for ever getting nice bedrooms, but we'll see in the future if that does happen. So those are still good. Compacted this. I'm eventually going to compact my outhouse and morb area down into a smaller thing. But yeah, there's no more getting around it. There is a huge amount of carbon dioxide down here. And this is something I'm going to have to deal with here fairly soon, but I do have a solution for it, which is this carbon skimmer. Not sure if it's happening quickly enough, but I think we'll be okay. But you might notice that a couple things. One is we have an aqua tuner running, which means we have water being cooled, which is happening over here. Right now it's down in the 30s, and there's not a whole lot of it, so I do need to find a way to generate a little bit more. Currently it's all coming from my petroleum generator, but once this second morb area is done, I'm going to start hooking up bathrooms so that I dirty some of this water, and then I have some leftovers once I close the loop on the bathrooms. So that'll be coming up here pretty soon, but yeah, this carbon dioxide is definitely building up a lot. But this is also a little intentional, and I'll explain. So the whole idea here is that I have a lot of lumber, and I'm going to be making lumber here pretty soon, and that's going to turn into ethanol. The ethanol, when it's created, comes out very hot, though. It comes out at about like 160, which is only a couple degrees below when it'll start breaking my aqua tuner and when it'll start breaking my pumps and all that kind of fun stuff. So what I do, at least for right now, and this, I'm actually trying out a couple of solutions. This is the first one just because I'm curious to see if it's going to work. So what I do is when the ethanol comes out, I'm going to kind of radiate it around a bunch of carbon dioxide over here. And that's right before the carbon dioxide is going to get destroyed by this carbon skimmer. So the idea I'm trying to run with is that I'm trying to figure out when I destroy things and how I can use those things to absorb energy, by the way. Looks like I'm running out of power here, so we're going to have to start getting back on this here pretty soon. But I'm trying to figure out what I'm destroying because heat destruction can happen just by destroying something that's hot. So I'm trying to share the heat with this carbon dioxide before it's destroyed. So that's effective like heat deletion. So I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to cool down this ethanol before it falls into this chamber. Once it does, the ethanol is going to heat up to a certain temperature, and as soon as it gets close to a temperature that it'll start breaking my aqua tuner or breaking my pump, I'm going to turn it off and not let it run anymore. And then the hot ethanol is going to be pumped into here, which is a petroleum generator. That's going to produce polluted water, which I will eventually feed back up to my lumber farms. So I think I have a complete loop here, and I do say that I'm going to try out a few different things because I'm going to try out this aqua tuner and ethanol first to see how much mileage I can get from it. It doesn't look like it's going to be a ton, but it may just be just enough to not need to do anything else. But if I do need to do anything else, I do have a second setup over here, which is another aqua tuner. And that's just in case this water can be cooled down to a certain degree as I start to mix it with water coming out of dupes, because because the water that comes out of dupes is at a fixed and pretty low temperature, so I could potentially mix that. I also may change this to be 2 separate pools of water. One that will actually be to feed these arbor trees, my lumber farm, and the other one to effectively just destroy polluted water once it gets too hot. So polluted water, and this is what I would probably do if I had access to space, but polluted water can go up to about 246 before it starts to vaporize. And I can't really have it vaporizing anyway because I don't have the metal for it. So I'd probably just heat this up until about, 155 or so, right before the aqua tuner and the pumps would break. And then what I would do is I would find a solution to destroy it. If I were theoretically able to get out into space, I would just run a pipe into space and just dump it out there as soon as it gets too hot because I don't want it anymore. So that would be one way to do it. But the second way, and this is kind of a little bit of an exploity way, but what you can do, I'm just going to make up a setup here really quickly. I'm not necessarily going to do it right now, but you could set up something kind of like this. Whoops, I'm totally messing up. That's what you get for trying to do things on command. So, yeah, so you can make a bunch of airlocks kind of like this, and you could put whatever you want in here. Oh my god. Excuse me while I mess up a little bit more. And then you could totally enclose this room. You could probably do it normally with airflow tiles. So you could do something like this. And then you could have an empty space or something somewhere to fill this thing up. So I'd fill this up with like polluted water, for example, that was too hot and I didn't want to deal with it anymore. And I could open these mechanized airlocks to allow the water to flow in. And then when I don't want it anymore, I could just close the airlocks. And if you build it in something like this, it will actually delete it. I say it's a little bit exploity because it's literally a side effect from the way that they programmed the game. They programmed everything to like fit in these little tiles, and if the tiles don't have any way to displace stuff that's inside those doors, for example, it'll just destroy it because it's like, I don't know what to do anymore. So yeah, you can make a setup that's kind of like that, and I'm going to try to run this without having to make something like that because I don't think that they would have required that knowledge in order to have you beat this. So since I'm playing on hard mode, I also don't want to go with any solutions that are going to be kind of an unintended shortcut to try to complete these. Because like I said, as soon as they were making this, I doubt that they had the idea of like, oh, let's make them have to have this really niche knowledge in order to understand how to do this. So that's my plan for right now. I'm just going to see how much mileage I can get off of the ethanol cooling, by the carbon skimmer deletion, by the ethanol deletion, and by the polluted water deletion up here with these arbor trees. If I can't get any real movement and I'm really feeling at risk with this mealwood, which is where I'm going to start dying if I don't have cooling, then I am going to go with a different solution, probably just that deletion solution. Either that or I'm going to open this up into one of these open areas and just start pouring any liquid in there that's too hot and just dump it down there and deal with it later once I can pump it out into space. So those are my two kind of backup solutions if this initial one doesn't work. Uh-oh, people are making a mess. That means my outhouses are ready. And I need to enable this. I need to build a tile so they can't walk through. And then I need 2 more outhouses, which means we are almost on plumb bathrooms. Go. Who made a mess and where was it? And it might be okay because it might just flow where I want it to and it doesn't look like it. This can also be a good time for me to collect any water, any random stuff from around the map and dump it into this one. As far as I can tell, the polluted water here I'm not going to get a ton of mileage out of, at least to feed my arbor trees. Because it's coming in here at fairly hot, so this aqua tuner may not run at all. I don't want this to ever go above 102 because the temperature that these trees can possibly take is 104. And I don't want to feed them water that's too hot. So, yeah, this is kind of a midway update to seeing if this solution's actually going to work. I don't know if it's going to work or not. So we'll just have to find out when it comes down to it. But the last step to make sure that my cooling loop is closed... And who is not building these, and why are you not bringing dirt? The last step to cooling these is to run a pipe from one of my pumps that's in my pool of water down here and kind of have it just sit in the pipes to absorb heat up here. And then once it gets too warm, I will flush the pipes out with this warm water and cycle back in more cool water. You can see the liquid here is sitting at about 55 degrees, and this is great. I just want to build up a little bit of a repository for it. But I still need to generate more polluted water anyway, so yeah, kind of midway through, seeing if this is all going to work out, but that's the plan. just relying on a lot of material deletion and relying on a lot of the deletion to take that heat with it, and I think we should be good. So I may update here sooner than the last time, because we're at cycle 92 by now. I may update sooner once I actually have this farm up and running, once I have kind of cleaned out a lot of this carbon dioxide and had it deleted by this carbon skimmer down here, and once I start getting up plumb bathrooms is I think probably when I'm going to check back. So check that out when it happens. Thank you guys for watching, and like I said before, these are going to be uploaded as a full batch, so the whole playthrough is here. If you're having your attention caught by this video, check out the next ones and we'll see if my solution worked. But I have no idea if they're going to work right now because I'm doing voiceover literally as soon as I'm recording this. So yeah, that'll be fun. Anyway, see you guys in the next video.